What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, that's where we talk about the scale news topics that happen in the world of our... What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, that's where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. If you enjoy the Scale News Update, hit the like button, and let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, tickets for Axial Fest, both Badlands and West, are for sale. The Eventbrite listings went up for both events. Now, prices for the two events do vary and camping is handled differently. So depending on which one you're looking at, make sure and read the details carefully to figure out what you need to purchase and where you need to sign up for what items. I've put links to where you can buy tickets for both events in the description below. Go check those out. Get signed up if you're looking forward to going to either event. This week, there was a tease of a new product from SSD for the Element IFS kits, and this is an aluminum front bulkhead. However, I think it's worth noting that even though this is being teased right now, the Element IFS kit was recently discontinued by Element. Just the kit on its own, the trucks that have it, in place, are still being offered, but it does make you wonder whether or not they are changing or updating that kit to fix some of the problems and downfalls that the design had, or if they're ending it, completely. So keep an eye out for that. But if you have one of the previous versions, then this may be a part that you're interested in. So keep an eye out for that when it becomes available. And speaking of SSD, some of the parts for the SCX6 are now becoming available, including some of the front diff cover options, as well as the 2.9-inch wheels that they offered. All of those are starting to hit retailers now. They were announced not too long ago, but finally hitting shops. So if you have an SCX6, might be worth shopping for some of those items. This week, Proline posted on their social media a shot of an axial rift, but with the Mickey Thompson livery on the side of the panels, and you can see in the edges of the photo some new tires. Now, in the hashtags of the Proline post, it does show that these tires are likely the Baja Pro X, and when you start looking at the photo, I think you can see that as well. Up to this point, we haven't seen Mickey Thompson tires from Proline, so this is a new partnership. Previously, we were able to find Mickey Thompson tires, but only from RC Four-Wheel Drive. So it looks like we are going to see some new 2.2 tire options, and I would expect that with the new partnership, we'll also see some of those make their way down into the 1.9 area as well. So if you're a fan of Mickey Thompson tires, they've got a number of different styles. Looking forward to seeing what Proline offers with the new name. And speaking of Proline, a while back they had announced that Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, and that's finally starting to hit retailers as well. That was announced, and I'm not sure if any actually got out after that announcement, or if there's just been a major delay in first batch to second batch, but starting to see those as well become available to dealers and distributors. So if you don't remember, this also had some of the hard molded plastic details that went along with it. So if you're a Toyota fan looking for a licensed body option, here's a good one. And then we had a new release from JConcepts, the 1989 Ford Bronco MT. This is for the monster truck crowd. It's not for the scale truck market. So it's not a 12.3-inch wheelbase. It's shorter. Again, it's not for the scale truck crowd. So maybe they didn't feel like they needed to pay as much attention. But what is going on with the proportions? Why is the window on the door so small and the window in the back so enormous? What is going on? I like JConcepts. I'm not trying. I like their tires. I use them. I've got them on multiple vehicles. But what is going on? Maybe I'm way off. I apologize if I am. What do you think of the proportions? Put your comments below. Being announced this week is some new releases from Reefs RC. First is the Reefs 888. Servo. Going along with their previous releases, the 777, now we've got the 888, which has 917 ounce-inches of power at 16.8 volts. So it's more than the 888, but 917 doesn't mean a lot to most people, unless you're maybe like a huge Porsche fan. But regardless, direct power servo, lots of power, great speed as well. Nice option that's being released here shortly. Not available yet, but coming soon. And alongside that, they're also releasing the Spec 300 winch. This is a lower profile winch. It's got around 300 ounce-inches of power, I believe. The speed on it was nice though. And internal spool, so nice compact little unit. The controller for the winch itself is built in. This is not a direct power winch, so plug it right into your receiver, and as long as you've got a strong enough BEC, that's all you need. No additional controllers or power hookups, anything like that. Pretty simple, nice, clean setup. Both of these items coming soon. Watch for that wherever you shop for Reefs RC products. This week's Scale News Update is again brought to you by Team Garage Hack. Thanks again to Team Garage Hack for sponsoring this month's Scale News Update. This week on social media, they had posted a teaser of a new axle housing that they've got coming. It looks like this is a Class 1 aimed axle housing. It's going to use AR-44 compatible gears, and it's got AR-60 axial Wraith, bomber style axle outers. So it's got a spline out there, and then you'll use AR-60 compatible knuckles and C-hubs. It looks like it's an offset housing, and it's going to use proprietary axle shafts, as this is a narrow axle. It's supposed to be about 7 inches from pin to pin. I'm not sure if that means drive pin to drive pin out of the hexes, or if that means kingpin to kingpin. More details are sure to come on these axles. This is just what has been posted as of yet. So thanks again to Team Garage Hack for sponsoring this week's Scale News Update, and we'll definitely swing back and get more details on that axle as it comes. This week, deals are flying over at Horizon. They had a wild sale on bombers. Those are gone, but they've got a ton of other, pretty decent kits with really good deals happening. Now, these are basically limited to stock on hand. So if you're thinking about any of these, probably best to pull the trigger as soon as possible, because some of these deals are pretty good. And like we've seen with other items currently advertised, once whatever they have is gone, it basically just says, not available. But currently you can get a SCX-102 Deadbolt for $80 off. DX5 Ruggeds are $80 off as well. Those are whittling down as far as your color choices go. I think there's only 1 or 2 of the color choices left. Wraith Spawns are $110 off. The Losi LMT Roller, $140 off, making it like $250 some. The Axial SMT Kit version is $90 off, making it just over $100 to pick up that kit. The Losi No Prep Roller is $100 off, making it $149. Rift Kit is $150 off. There's a number of the FMS kits, like the little Jimny, the larger 1/6, some of the Willys Jeeps. Those are up to $100 off as well, making them pretty cheap. And also the Axial SCX-103 straight axle conversion kits are $70 off, making them less than $100 for that kit. So linked to where you can find those in the description below. All of the deals are listed on that link, and the coupon code you need is listed at the top of the page once you click on that link. So check those out. That's only good for the next 3 days. So get them while you can, whatever's left. Then we had a new teaser from Cross RC, and this is the Emo AT6 6x6. This is just like the Emo before, but more of it. It's the My Chemical Romance of RCs. Basic right now, looks like they've got, they just made everything longer. They put a rack on it that's just long. It's got a bed with a single wheel opening that's just long. It's just a longer Emo with an extra axle. Nothing all that real spectacular about this yet, but they're competing in the 6x6 space, which right now I think is pretty much dominated by the Traxxas TRX6. As far as features go, this is kind of trying to compete head to head with that TRX6 as far as locking and unlocking differentials and a 2-speed. As far as durability and things like that go, that's a tough one to beat Traxxas on that. Beyond that, it's basically just Cross versus Traxxas and which one you prefer. Cross RC does like to put out this information way in advance of the release of their actual vehicles. So I haven't seen it hit any of their sites officially yet, so we don't really know much about it beyond just the first teaser type pics and a little bit of press release detail. I'm sure we'll see more on this in the coming weeks and months. Once we do, we'll circle back and discuss. Speaking of 6x6s, here's a 1/18 scale Gladiator-esque version from FMS. I believe that this is actually being called the Cheyenne 6x6, even though it said Gladiator right in the press release that I read on the sites from overseas. But I think here, officially, we're calling this the Cheyenne 6x6. Wink, wink. It is a hard body. It does have an interior with some detail to it. It is very Gladiator, except that it has more wheels. So if you're a fan of 6x6s, this is the 1/18th scale platform from FMS, so little ring and pinion set. You know, we've seen this platform used in the 4x4 version underneath of like that Chevy truck body. And I think the FJ, they've got one, a couple of others. I don't know what else to say about this. I think this is one of those things that if you just see it, you either know you want it or you know you want nothing to do with it. And depending on what camp you're in, stay tuned for more information to come. Last week I put out the Class 2 and Class 3 videos from Scale Nats, going through and following along with Matt and I's runs in both of those classes. Class 1 came out the weekend before, so you have full videos on each of those classes. Those were long videos following us through every course we ran that weekend. It was a great time and it was fun to catalog and, document that experience because the event was really amazing. But now that it's over, Matt and I are going to do a wrap-up video that will come out tomorrow if you're watching this on Tuesdays. So Wednesday, final wrap-up video, go over what the trucks look like now, what happened, what we would do differently, what we would do the same, and what we plan to do in the future. So check that out. Both of us will have our videos out that day. Really looking forward to it, and I'm glad that it's over. Also last week, there was a story in the Scale News about the new factory that Tamiya was building in the Philippines. But I had some information in there that I got from a website out of China and talked to Tamiya last week. Guess what? Some of that information was not correct. Who'd have guessed it? But they did give me a little bit more information on it. Basis of the article was true. They are building a new factory in the Philippines. Beyond that, pretty sketchy info that was published. But to put out some correct information provided by Tamiya, they did have a factory in the Philippines that they are replacing. They originally built that factory in 1995. It was built by the son-in-law of Mr. Tamiya. It was originally built to expand their abilities and kind of split between Japan and the Philippines. The new factory is being built just to expand their capacity. They still have the other factories in Japan, but the most interesting information was that the export dollar amounts and percentages that were published in that article were nowhere near correct, which is what surprised me so much about it. They don't share public numbers, which is what surprised me a lot about that article, was just the actual dollar amounts that were in there. But also, the US is the #1 export country, Europe being #2. So they said 12% was way off. We are way higher than 12% of Tamiya's exports. So that makes a little bit more sense to me. And I appreciate Tamiya for giving me some much more correct information. As for the rest of the week, Wednesday's live stream takeover definitely happening. And now that Scale Nats is over, Matt and I definitely want to start picking up some more guests. Now that we can spend a little bit more time ahead of the show, getting things organized and testing with guests. If you have anyone you'd like to see on the show, make sure and let us know. But that's going to do it for this week's news topics. For this week's question, really didn't have one. So, what's in your left pocket? What's your left pocket everyday carry? I don't know. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you had a good weekend as well. With that, thanks for watching the Scale News Update. Hit the like button if you enjoy these videos, subscribe if you're not already, and hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. As always, I appreciate you guys watching the show, and we'll see you on the next one.